Welcome back to Blasting Off with Bootstrap. This is Level 2, Section 2, Responsive Gridding. If we take a look at our website so far, it looks great on desktops. But what happens if we view it on a phone? Well, our columns are all gone. It turns out that's because none of the columns that we've been using work below 992 pixels. Let's take a look at what we can do to fix this. Here's what we want our page to look like on a phone. We really don't need that big image on smaller resolutions. And also, we still want our featured items to take up some horizontal space, but we really want Book Today to be on its own row, since that's the most important thing. You'll notice this little icon up here? That means that we're seeing the same thing that a phone would see for this screenshot. So far, we have concentrated on getting our site looking great on medium-sized screens, things like laptops. To do that, we use that CallMD star class and the CallMD offset star one. But these only work for screen sizes of 992 pixels and larger. For smaller resolutions like tablets and even compact laptop screens, there's another grid size we could be designing for, and that's called the small size. The small size uses similar classes to the ones we've worked with so far, except we replace the MD part with the SM part. The small grid size will work for screen sizes of 768 pixels and above. Let's see how we can use our grids for small devices. If we take a look at our features so far, you'll see we're using the CallMD4 class. Now, this class is only working for resolutions of 992 pixels and up, so nothing is happening for our small screen sizes. What can we do differently to make this work on tablets? By changing this class to CallSM4, now these featured items are all going to take up 4 columns in small and medium-sized devices. So if we take a look at how this looks in a medium device, you'll see that it looks exactly the same as before. Our features are still spanning 4 columns. You'll see from the little laptop icon, this is us viewing the page in medium mode. But what if we check it out in small mode, represented by this tablet? Notice how even though our page is a lot smaller, our featured items are still taking up 4 columns. Each of these columns is a little bit smaller because our page itself is smaller. But if we shrink the page a little more, well, our columns are going to disappear again. That's because our grids were only being applied for screen sizes of 768 pixels and above. What about below 768 pixels? Let's take a look at extra small mode, which is what you'd see if you viewed our site on a phone. When designing for extra small devices like phones, you can use this CallXS prefix for all of your grids and offsets. This will be applied for screens 0 pixels and above. This is great for applying a minimum width for your elements, things that will be applied across all grid sizes. The extra small classes are great for specifying a minimum width on elements, assuming you don't override them with another grid class from a larger size. If we wanted our featured items to take up a little more horizontal space on extra small screens, one way we could do that might be to add a CallXS4 class to our featured items. But if we view that on an extra small device, it looks a little cramped. This is going to be very hard to read on an extra small device. I think we could do a lot better. Let's rewind things a bit and see what we want our featured items to look like. We really want our Book Today feature to take up 10 columns and have 1 column of offset before it. Next, we want the other 2 features to each take up 6 columns. Let's start off by making the Book Today part take up an entire 12 columns in extra small mode. Next, we want Go Anywhere and Rocket Bus to be below Book Today, but each of them will take up 6 columns. To do that, we can add a CallXS6 to each of them. If we take a look at this in an extra small device, we'll see that our Book Today element is spanning 12 columns, and also that our Go Anywhere and Rocket Bus are both spanning 6. So why is it that we were able to use 24 columns in this row rather than 12? You'll notice that Book Today is using all 12 columns like we told it to, but it's also pushed down Go Anywhere and Rocket Bus to the next available vertical space below it. We could still improve this a little bit more. What we really want to do is for people to read the Book Today part, so let's make that stand out a little bit more on extra small devices. How can we do that? Well, we don't want Book Today to take up all 12 columns in extra small mode. Instead, we really want it to take up just the middle 10 columns. In order for it to take up the middle 10 columns, we need to give it a column of padding on the left. To do that, we can use an offset of 1 that only is applied for extra small devices. Remember, the order that we add these classes to our HTML doesn't matter. Let's check this out on an extra small device. We'll see that Book Today shows up centered with an empty column on the left and another empty column on the right. Go Anywhere and Rocket Bus each take up 6 columns, adding up to 12 to take up the entire row. What's important to note here is that we've used only 11 total columns to accomplish this centering effect. The remaining 1 column to the right of Book Today wasn't used because nothing was there except empty space. If we had made Book Today take 11 columns, we wouldn't have the centering effect. When Go Anywhere and Rocket Bus try to find a place on the page, they can't roll up right next to Book Today because there's only 1 column of space left. So Bootstrap puts them where space is available, in this case, the next horizontal space down. If we preview our site again in small mode, we'll see that our featured items don't look like we'd expect them to. Our offset that we added for extra small mode, well, it's actually being applied for small and medium resolutions as well because we haven't overridden it for those larger sizes. Since we're using 9 columns in the first horizontal space, Rocket Bus is moved to the next row. Let's check out how to override this offset for small screens and above. To do that, we can add another class which will remove the offset for small devices and above. In this case, we can add a call SMOffset0 class. This is essentially removing that offset for small devices and above. So now if we open this up on a medium-sized device or a small device, we'll see that our featured items no longer have that offset added to them. The grid sizes we've worked with so far will work for almost every situation you'll encounter. But if you want to design for a very, very large screen, like a great big monitor, you might want to use the large grid size, which will work for screen sizes of 1200 pixels and above. There's only a few other changes we want to make in this section. The first of which is that we only want this image to show for medium and large resolutions. So what can we do to make that happen? If we want to hide an element in one or more screen sizes, Bootstrap has a couple of classes that can help us out. Let's take a look at those. In this case, we want to hide this image only in small and extra small mode. To do that, we're going to add a class of hidden SM and hidden XS to this element. This will hide it in small and extra small modes. If we wanted to hide this element in other screen sizes, Bootstrap has some other classes to help out with that as well. If we check out our page in a small device, we'll see the image is hidden. Same goes for an extra small device. On the other hand, what if instead of hiding something, we wanted to only show something for certain screen sizes? Well, to do that, we could use this visible MD and visible LG classes. This will only show our image for medium and large screen sizes. You'll notice each of these classes ends with a screen size indicator like SM, XS, MD, and LG. If we open this up in a browser, we'll see that our image shows up in medium and large devices. But in small and extra small, it's hidden just like we'd expect it to be. That's the end of responsive gridding. It's time for you to try using it in the challenges, and I'll see you in level 3. Then we'll need to give... Such a loser. We got too many columns.